LeBron James is the face of this league and the face of basketball worldwide as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, Kobe's up in there along with several others, but LeBron is the best player in the world. I happen to know that he would be an incredible leader in my estimation because it's one thing, you know, you're the owners and you're sitting across from the table from the best player in the game who's now a champion, who dedicates himself to excellence the way that he does, who cares a lot about the players on a very, very personal level and obviously their interest. And more importantly, who has very little to gain by it because he has his money, he has his wealth, he has his fame, he has his celebrity. So he doesn't need to do this. If he were doing it, it would be for all the right reasons. And that's because he would be caring about the best interests of the players, not just current players, but moving forward as well. He would have the assistance of one of the ultimate basketball ambassadors, as far as I'm concerned, in Chris Paul. I don't know whether Chris Paul wants the presidency or not. I haven't spoken to him about it. I know at one time he was in line for it, but I'm being told that obviously he would be in support of LeBron James as well. Remember, they're incredibly tight with one another. Chris Paul is the godfather of one of his children, so there's no doubt about that on that level. So I think it would be an incredible thing, but you also have to keep in mind that you're also going to need that cachet, that leadership in light of some of the things that transpire. Remember, Skip, that Derek Fisher, the now former president of the NBPA, this is a guy that obviously is at odds with former executive director Billy Hunter. They need to resolve that, by the way, because it's not good for anybody for them to have friction with one another. And I'm being told that Derek Fisher is in support of you know, sort of reaching an agreement, some kind of accord with Billy Hunter, assuming they're willing to talk to one another. But the point that I bring that up about is that you can't have that kind of stuff. And it's real easy to get into a fight with a Derek Fisher, who is a role player and now a journeyman in the NBA, as opposed to LeBron James, the best player in the world, who has the support of a large body of players out there. You're also going to have 5 individuals, Skip, that are now vying for the executive director's position of the Players Association. And I'll announce it right here on television. I can tell you who those 5 dudes are. One of them, obviously, you've got Isaiah Thomas. He would like to be the executive director of the Players Association, and I think that's a viable option. You've got Stu Jackson. Yep. I definitely think that that's a possibility. Let's not ignore that. You've got Fred Whitfield, who's Michael Jordan's right-hand man. I'm being told that he's interested in that. You've got David Cornwell, the lawyer for Alex Rodriguez, who's represented players in New, and obviously he's a lawyer by trade and really, really knows what he's doing. And of course, there's the former president for the New York Knicks, former employee of the NBA, widely respected and is closely associated with Irvin Magic Johnson as well, and former president of the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden, Steve Mills. So you got Isaiah Thomas, Steve Mills, Stu Jackson, Fred Whitfield, and David Cornwell. In the end, what matters most is who's the Players Association, because even though the executive director runs the Players Association, he answers to the players, meaning the president of the Players Association. That's the real boss of the Players Association. And you need somebody who's not going to be compromised, and that is LeBron James. Trust me, I think that's a fabulous choice, and I think it's a fabulous position for LeBron James because he's a better leader than people give him credit for.
I think he's a great leader. He has the stature, he has the brains, he has the heart, as you say, the caring for the game and its future. And Stephen A., despite all that, I think there's no way in the world he should do this at this time in his career. LeBron James is about to play, or will enter his 11th season in the NBA. 28 going on 29 years of age, still in his prime, but at some point in the next year or two will enter the backside of his prime. And if in fact he wants to exceed Michael Jordan, to surpass him, maybe not in championships, just in basketball stature, if he wants not 3, not 4, not 5, this is too much to me. It's just too big a headache, too big a distraction, too time-consuming in endeavors other than actual basketball. It's close to being a full-time job. Derek Fisher did it, and I thought did it very well at the very back end of his career. Just again,
right.
But he's in his late 30s. And again, Derek was never the face of the NBA. He was never a superstar. Although he was a borderline star, he was not LeBron James. I would encourage or advise LeBron, not that he cares what I would say, but to focus just on his basketball and maximize what they have going in Miami right now, which is a very special thing that I think could continue the next year and the next, depending on Dwayne Wade's health. So I would advise him way against this.
I respectfully disagree with you, and I dare say this is one of those rare occasions where I think I can possibly change your mind. I know you to be far more conscientious than people give you credit for from time to time. And as important as performance is, I'm talking about some critics, you know what I'm saying, not me. But as important as it is for LeBron to focus on his game and focus on winning, there's also a bigger vision here. You have to trust that LeBron James will be able to maintain his focus being the champion that he is. But you also have to remember there's a bigger picture here. You've got another collective bargaining agreement coming on in a few years. That's really where the rubber meets the road in terms of work when you're really negotiating that deal. We're not there yet. That's number one. Number two, he can galvanize players around him and get them to see the light. He's not just an incredible athlete, but he's an incredible businessman whose heart is in the right place. LRMR, LeBron, Randy, Maverick, Rich, his crew, what he tries to do for them is what he would also try to do for players, elevating the level of consciousness and responsibility that they have not just to themselves, but to society as a whole in terms of how they carry themselves, how they conduct themselves, and what they should be thinking about. If we're going to sit here and continuously lament the state of affairs as it pertains to professional athletes, thinking just about the game, not preparing themselves for beyond the game, what better to resolve that issue than having a champion and a great player like him who's in that kind of leadership position where he can literally showcase and display how you should go about doing X, Y, and Z to facilitate a better future for all of those who paid their dues by playing in the league and uplifting it. This is what we want from our young athletes. We want them to have the kind of consciousness where they are educating themselves and elevating themselves beyond the game so they understand what responsibility that they have while they're playing the game. Who better to do that than the best player in the world who now stands here as a reigning two-time world champion who wants to do it and is a leader and enough of a leader to pull it off?
You did not change my mind. Let me try to change yours one last time. Are you trying to tell me this would require almost no time for LeBron James? Are you trying to change my mind that this would not take away anything from his basketball preparation?
I'm saying to you, not at this juncture. It usually the rubber hits the road right when they're going to negotiate collective bargaining talks.
There are issues. There are always issues. And even if he shared leadership with Chris Paul, Stephen A., the buck has to stop somewhere, and it would stop on LeBron's desk. And day after day, he would get a phone call. LeBron, what should we do about this? Well, let me think about it.
But Skip, that happens now. That happens now. When Derek Fisher was running the Players Association as president, who do you think support? Well, Billy Hunter as the executive director.
Okay.
Who do they call? The stars are always called upon anyway.
Yeah.
They're always called upon anyway. It doesn't make a difference. You might as well be in a position of power.
LeBron's interest right now is according to a source. We'll see if LeBron comes out and responds to
He's
this
interested.
report.
He's very interested.